LAX already, I'm bleeding. Try to have my kids, you tweaking, bitch. Brr. She try to have my kids. I don't get no passion, get conscious, gon' die. Fuck all my eyes, bitch, I'm down. LAX already, I'm bleeding. LAX already, I'm bleeding. Niggas wolfing ain't doing no T5 shots to the chest, now his ass ain't breathing. Get right to get shot, they gon' say I'm the reason. Soft as a bitch, he ain't no demon. Tryna have my kids, you tweaking. Need 2 perk 30s, I'm fainting. You would think this was a bad house swing. Niggas thought to kill me, they was dreaming. I leave a nigga face stuck on the same. On this man on my face, not one tuck came out my eye in that hallway. If anything, I was in that hallway telling y'all ass, you know what's gonna happen. I was right there telling y'all homie that's in the air. You know personally, this shit gon' go bad for y'all ass. On my dead grandma, this shit gon' go bad. Tell them come back, boy, it's gon' go bad. Now look.
Let's go, turn the key, get where we should be. Dive right in and follow me, cause we gon' make history. Let's go, turn the key.
Good Saturday evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Dave Savini. We begin with that deadly shooting during a funeral procession. We now know the woman killed in the south suburbs was headed to a funeral for her brother. Our Darius Johnson has been working this story all day and joins us from the newsroom live with what he's gathered. Darius.
Dave, good evening. The victim is 34-year-old Rhomesha Turner. Her brother was being laid to rest when she was killed. Now this family is dealing with 2 losses in a span of 2 weeks.
Damage on this property is what's left behind after police say Rhomesha Turner lost control of her vehicle when someone shot her. Around noon, Dixmoor police say they got a call for shots fired at 147th and Sealy. When they arrived, they found Turner inside of a white Jaguar. She had been shot several times. She was taken to Ingalls Memorial Hospital in Harvey, where she died. Turner was a sister, a mother, and to many, a well-known stylist. Police say she was killed during a funeral procession that just left St. Mark's Church, about 2 blocks away. This funeral was for her brother, Chevelle Carter, who was shot and killed on October 19th at 38th and Ellis. Police have not arrested anyone in his murder.
Now, we've heard from some that say this shooting was possibly in retaliation. We know at this time Chicago police, or Dixmoor police rather, are still searching for the person who fired those shots, killing Rhomesha. Reporting in the newsroom tonight, I'm Darius Johnson.
It was supposed to be the final goodbye, a day wrapped in sorrow, memory, and reverence. Rhomesha Turner sat behind the wheel of her white Jaguar SUV, dressed in funeral black, eyes red from weeks of grief. She was part of a slow-moving procession leaving St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church in Harvey, Illinois. At the front was a hearse carrying her brother, Chevelle Carter, who had been gunned down just 2 weeks earlier in Bronzeville. The pain of his loss was still fresh. What no one knew that morning was that the family was about to bury 2 loved ones instead of one. As the convoy of cars rolled past 147th Street, Romesha's vehicle drifted out of place. Witnesses said they heard a sudden burst, gunshots slicing through the silence of grief, followed by the screeching of tires and the sound of metal colliding with brick. Romesha's Jaguar had slammed into the side of the home. First responders rushed to the scene and found her inside, bleeding. She had been shot multiple times. 2 siblings, 2 shootings, 2 weeks apart. This was not random. This was not a case of mistaken identity. Rhomesha Turner, it seemed, was a target. A woman punished for her blood ties, caught in a violent street feud she had nothing to do with. But who was Rhomesha Turner, really? Why would anyone want her dead? And how did a family trying to heal from one tragedy find themselves crushed by another? This is a true story of a woman who was hunted down in daylight, on the day she was meant to grieve, not fight for her life. If you're captivated by real crime stories that peel back the layers of truth, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your support means a world to us as we uncover real cases, raise awareness, and give a voice to the voiceless. Before we dive into today's story, we want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? And how do you feel as the story unfolds? Welcome to Deadly Crime Unmasked, the show where we expose the shocking crimes that rip through communities and the chilling secrets lurking behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications. You won't want to miss the gripping story that's coming up. Now let's dive in. Rhomesha Turner was a 34-year-old woman from Calumet Park, Illinois, a suburb just outside Chicago. She was a licensed beautician and hairstylist, known professionally in her area for offering high-quality services from a home-based salon setup. Her clientele included neighborhood residents, friends, and women from surrounding communities, many of whom had patronized her services for years. According to public records and social media activity, Turner had built her small business largely through word of mouth, relying on consistent service and referrals rather than commercial advertising. She was the mother of 2 children. She lived with her children. Friends and family describe her as a routine-oriented individual who balanced work and family responsibilities without outside assistance. There is no record of her being involved in any public legal disputes or criminal activity. Testimonies collected from her clients describe her as punctual, organized, and focused. One client who spoke anonymously to local press said Turner maintained a strict schedule and kept her appointments short but professional. A family member who spoke at a vigil stated that Turner was always working, often late into the evening, but never discussed her personal problems or fears openly. Turner's friends say she kept her inner circle small and did not associate closely with individuals involved in high-risk or illegal activity. They also stated that she rarely posted personal content on her social media accounts. Her Facebook profile, now memorialized, mainly featured promotions for her services and occasional photographs of her children. There were no public posts indicating concerns about safety or any recent conflicts. Chevelle Carter was Rhomesha brother, a 36-year-old black man born and raised in the south side of Chicago. At the time of his death, he lived in the Bronzeville neighborhood, a historically rich but violence-prone area in the city. Chevelle was known by his nickname Vel and had a reputation that varied depending on who was asked. While he was described by family as loyal and protective, his name was not unfamiliar to local law enforcement. Public records indicated several past run-ins with the police, including minor drug charges and allegations of affiliation with a local street gang known to operate in the area. According to community sources and verified police reports, Chevelle was loosely associated with neighborhoods set that had been in a long-standing territorial conflict with rival groups across the South Side. Though he had not been recently arrested or formally charged with gang activity, investigators noted that he maintained close social ties with individuals actively involved in the local drug trade and street-level violence. These connections, though not documented as criminal partnerships, placed him in the orbit of multiple known gang conflicts. In the weeks leading up to his murder, Bronzeville experienced a noticeable uptick in targeted shootings and retaliatory attacks between rival groups. Surveillance data from the 3rd District revealed 3 separate shootings in a 5-day window, all of which occurred within a 1.5 mile. None of the incidents resulted in arrests, but all were suspected to be connected to gang disputes. Several police analysts flagged an emerging pattern of daytime ambushes and drive-bys, signaling a shift from random acts of violence to strategic, targeted hits. On October 19, 2024, at 4:50 p.m., Chevelle Carter was shot multiple times near 45th Street and South Cottage Grove Avenue. Eyewitnesses reported hearing a rapid series of gunshots, followed by the screech of tires and a silver sedan fleeing the scene. Chevelle was found on the sidewalk with gunshot wounds to his chest and upper torso. Emergency medical personnel arrived within 6 minutes and transported him to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead less than an hour later. Chicago Police Department detectives investigating the case noted that Chevelle's murder bore the hallmarks of a targeted hit. The number and placement of gunshot wounds suggested a focused effort to ensure he did not survive. Surveillance footage from a nearby business captured a vehicle matching the witness descriptions circling the area minutes before the shooting. No arrests were made and no suspects were publicly identified as of the time of this report. News of Chevelle's death spread quickly through both the family and the neighborhood. Rhomesha Turner, his younger sister by 2 years, was among the first family members to arrive at the hospital following notification by a mutual friend. Although not involved in his lifestyle choices, Romesha was reportedly close to Chevelle and had expressed concern in the past about the people he associated with. According to family statements, she had urged him multiple times to relocate for his own safety, citing the unpredictable nature of South Side violence. Those conversations, however, never resulted in any significant action. Romesha was described by relatives as shaken but composed in the days following his death. She handled most of the funeral preparations, coordinated communication with extended family, and supported her mother, who was in visible distress. She also became more reclusive in the weeks that followed, avoiding social media and limiting her movement to work and family obligations. Some close friends noted a change in her routine, including missed appointments at her salon and longer than usual periods of silence. The family, already dealing with financial constraints, struggled to cover funeral costs. They launched an online fundraiser that gathered moderate traction, and several community members contributed to help close the gap. Despite the support, the emotional burden was considerable. Chevelle's children, 2 sons from previous relationships, were left without a father. His mother, overwhelmed by grief, reportedly began experiencing health issues related to stress and anxiety. The Carter family, while not unfamiliar with violence in the community, had never lost someone to it so directly. Chevelle's murder marked the beginning of a tragic sequence of events that would escalate into further loss. While no threats had been made toward other family members at the time, the nature of his death left many in the family feeling exposed. They did not anticipate that another tragedy would strike so soon, especially not at his funeral. This was the first blow. It would not be the last. On the morning of November 2nd, 2024, a funeral procession moved slowly through the streets of Dixmoor, Illinois. The vehicles in the convoy had just departed from St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church in Harvey, where friends and family of Chevelle Carter gathered to pay their final respects. Carter had been shot and killed 2 weeks earlier in the Bronzeville neighborhood of Chicago. Now, a long line of mourners, led by a hearse, was headed to the cemetery to lay him to rest. Among the vehicles was a white Jaguar SUV, driven by Carter's sister, 34-year-old Rhomesha Turner. She was participating in the procession, along with other family members. Turner had been visibly affected by her brother's death. According to accounts from relatives, she had been helping with the funeral arrangements and intended to escort the casket from the church to the burial site. The procession proceeded in an orderly fashion through the south suburban area. Witnesses later stated that the atmosphere was quiet and respectful. Traffic was slowed to allow the group of vehicles to pass together. Some cars bore funeral flags or emergency flashers to indicate they were part of the procession. At around 12:30 p.m., the vehicles approached the intersection of 147th Street and Celia Avenue in Dixmoor. As Turner's vehicle reached the area, multiple gunshots rang out. The source of the gunfire was not immediately clear to those nearby. Residents later reported hearing a rapid series of shots before seeing one of the vehicles in procession veer off course. Turner's SUV jumped the curb and struck the side of a brick home on the 14700 block of South Celia Avenue. First responders were contacted at 12:35 p.m. When officers arrived on the scene, they found Turner unresponsive behind the wheel of a Jaguar. The vehicle had significant front-end damage, and it crashed directly into the side of the residence. Paramedics from Dixmoor and neighboring Harvey assessed Turner's injuries and found multiple gunshot wounds. The home that was struck was occupied at the time of the crash, but no residents inside were injured. The damage to the property was limited to the exterior wall and landscaping. Immediately after the incident, Dixmoor police were dispatched to the area. Upon arrival, officers discovered that Turner had suffered gunshot wounds. She was transported to Ingalls Memorial Hospital in Harvey, where she was later pronounced dead. At a press conference held the following day, Dixmoor Police Chief provided a brief statement indicating that the incident was a targeted shooting and not a random act of violence. The Harvey Police Department, which had jurisdiction over the earlier homicide of Chevelle Carter, was also involved in sharing intelligence and prior case materials. The collaboration was essential due to potential links between the two homicides. Authorities indicated early on that Turner's murder may have been an act of retaliation tied to ongoing street-level disputes involving her deceased brother. However, they did not release specific details about any groups or individuals under suspicion at that time. Forensic investigators secured the crash site and recovered multiple shell casings believed to have been fired from a high-caliber handgun. Initial analysis from the Illinois State Police Crime Lab confirmed that the rounds were consistent with ammunition commonly used in gang-related shootings in the area. The trajectory of the bullets indicated that the shots were fired from another moving vehicle positioned diagonally behind and to the side of Turner's car during Procession. Law enforcement stated that the shooter likely had prior knowledge of Turner's vehicle and deliberately targeted her amid the line of cars. Surveillance footage from surrounding businesses was collected. Investigators reviewed several angles to track the suspect's vehicle, but due to the distance and speed of the drive-by, the images lack clarity in identifying license plates or occupants. As of the latest updates, no weapon had been recovered from the scene. Suspects in arrest status. As of the report's filing, no suspects have been formally named or arrested in connection with Turner's murder. Law enforcement has not disclosed whether any persons of interest have been detained for questioning. Dixmoor police indicated that although leads were being pursued, they faced significant obstacles in building a case. They confirmed receiving tips from the public, but none had yet led to substantial breakthroughs. Authorities did not comment on whether anyone seen in the surveillance footage had been identified. In connection with Chevelle Carter's homicide 2 weeks earlier, no arrests had been made either. Although police suggested the two shootings might be linked through personal vendettas or gang affiliations, they stopped short of declaring a definitive connection without forensic or testimonial evidence. One of the primary challenges reported by investigators was a code of silence operating in affected neighborhoods. Multiple sources confirmed that while the shooting occurred in broad daylight and during a well-attended funeral procession, no witnesses had come forward with first-hand accounts. Local officers stated that fear of retaliation remained a major barrier. In such cases, even witnesses who are not affiliated with gangs may choose not to cooperate, fearing consequences to themselves or their families. In addition, distrust in law enforcement remains a long-standing issue in communities experiencing repeated cycles of violence. Police also face difficulty in leveraging digital evidence. While the area had some surveillance coverage, most security cameras were not directly facing the street where the shooting occurred. In-car dash cam footage from other funeral procession participants was requested, but authorities did not confirm whether any such footage had been voluntarily submitted. Social media monitoring was another tool used in the investigation. Detectives analyzed posts, comments, and stories from local accounts for potential signs of threat, planning, or post-crime bragging, a common occurrence in gang-affiliated shootings. So far, no incriminating digital content had been officially acknowledged. The case remains open, and both Dixmoor and Harvey police continue to request information from the public. A confidential tip line was set up, but authorities have not revealed how many calls they have received or whether any resulted in credible leads. With no suspect in custody, no murder weapon recovered, and minimal cooperation from witnesses, the case has become increasingly difficult to advance. Law enforcement agencies have reiterated their intent to pursue justice, but acknowledge the significant challenges involved in solving a crime of this nature. At the core of Rhomesha Turner's legacy are her 2 children. Their futures now exist without their mother's direct support, protection, and guidance. In legal and social terms, the loss of a parent at a young age is known to correlate with numerous challenges, including emotional trauma, financial instability, and educational disruption. The immediate consequence for Rhomesha's children includes the necessity for new guardianship arrangements, which have been pursued by family members or close friends. Community organizations and social services are involved in providing both practical support and long-term planning to ensure the children's well-being. Educational programs, financial assistance funds, and counseling services are being mobilized to minimize the adverse effects of this loss. The children's situation serves as a tangible example of the broader societal costs of violence, highlighting the urgent need for preventative measures. Professionally, Rhomesha Turner was a stylist who ran a local salon, which functioned not only as a business, but as a community hub. The salon served as a place where clients gathered, exchanged news, and received personal care. As a stylist, Rhomesha built strong relationships with her clients, many of whom relied on her services regularly and regarded her as a trusted professional. The loss of Rhomesha has disrupted this local business network. The salon's future remains uncertain, with questions surrounding its operation and ownership. For many clients, the salon was a source of consistency and social connection, which contributes to community cohesion. The absence of Rhomesha's presence has left a void in this aspect of the neighborhood's daily life. Beyond the economic implications, her role within the community was marked by informal mentorship and support. She was known to participate in local events, provide advice to young women interested in cosmetology, and engage in charitable activities. These contributions reflect a wider impact she had beyond her immediate work, influencing the social fabric of the area. Since Romesha's death, her case has been cited in public discussions and advocacy efforts aimed at addressing gun violence and community safety. Local leaders and activists have referenced her story to illustrate the real human consequences of retaliatory shootings and gang-related violence. Her situation exemplifies how individuals who are not directly involved in criminal activity can become victims due to their associations or familial connections. This has broadened the conversation around violence prevention to include not only those actively involved in conflicts, but also their families and communities. Nonprofit organizations have used Rhomesha's story in campaigns to educate the public about the dangers of gun violence, the importance of community intervention programs, and the need for stronger legal protections for civilians caught in violent circumstances. Her name appears in newsletters, social media posts, and at events dedicated to violence prevention. Additionally, her story has been included in training materials for law enforcement and social workers, emphasizing the importance of understanding the complexities of violence in affected neighborhoods. These efforts seek to improve response strategies and support systems for families at risk. In response to the tragic deaths of Romesha and her brother, several nonprofits and mothers' advocacy groups have amplified their calls for systemic change. These organizations focus on legislative reform, community investment, and enhanced support for families impacted by violence. One significant area of focus is on expanding programs that provide conflict mediation and youth engagement, aiming to interrupt cycles of retaliation and violence. Groups have petitioned local government to allocate more funding towards such initiatives, arguing that preventing deaths like Romesha's requires proactive, rather than reactive, measures. Mothers groups, in particular, have taken Rhomesha's story as a rallying point to demand safer environments for children and families. They advocate for increased access to mental health resources, better school-based violence prevention programs, and improved neighborhood policing practices that build trust rather than fear. These organizations also work to raise public awareness through community forums, workshops, and partnerships with local media. Their messaging emphasizes the broader impact of gun violence on families and the need for comprehensive community involvement to foster lasting change. The death of Rhomesha Turner has therefore become a catalyst for ongoing advocacy and policy discussions. While the immediate loss is profound, the response mobilized by her case contributes to a growing movement focused on reducing violence and supporting victims' families. If this story gripped your heart and left you questioning the truth, don't forget to hit that like button and share with others who need to hear it. For more chilling true crime stories that dive deep into the mysteries behind these tragedies, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest updates, investigations, and thought-provoking discussions. Thank you for being part of this journey with us as we uncover the truth and seek justice. Together, we can make a difference. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one.